Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Shadow Stitch, and I like solo running Pokemon Black and White. So last week we took on the game with Sigilyph, and it actually really impressed me. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the tier list right now, and we see it's actually sitting at the top of the B tier. Very impressive for a Psychic type that hasn't had the best track record so far, outside of Victini, of course, but, you know, he's a special case. Sigilyph actually was really great. Just kind of goes to show you the Psychic type actually isn't that bad in this generation, as long as it has some coverage and can outspeed some things. So that's pretty good. That's always been the problem with these slow Psychic types in the lower tiers right here, like Behem and Gothitelle. And sure, Reuniclus isn't re-ranked yet, but trust me, it's going to be down there. So there's that. Yeah, so overall, though, definitely go check out that video if you haven't already. It really impressed me, and all the rest of the Pokemon on here do have videos on the channel, so if you see anything that piques your interest, there is a playlist link down below at the end of the video and on that little iCard thing that popped up, so go check that out. But be sure to stick around, because today we're getting into December, these winter months, and I kind of wanted to wrap up another type, so we're going to be playing with all of the ice types this month, and we're going to be starting things off with Beartic. So this Pokemon's pretty cool. I mean, it's got a very basic design, but I think it really works. It's just got a big old freaking ice beard. It's, you know, nice and big and bulky. It's pure white and stuff. I mean, it's a big old polar bear. What else would you really expect? Competitive wise, I have no real experience with it. It did get Slush Rush in later generations, which is basically just a snow version of a Swift Swim, pretty much, doubling its speed in the hail or snow. So it's not bad. It hits really hard. It's not that fast though, so you know, it's still not even that great of a Slush Rusher. But overall, it's a pretty cool Pokemon, and I'm kind of looking forward to this. You see the rules on screen. There's more niche stuff down in the description below, and while you're down there, if you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing. I do these solo challenges in Pokemon Black and White at least once a week, so there's plenty of stuff for you to watch, and my goal is to try to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and of course I can only do that with your help. Well, with all that said, let's go ahead and get into it and see how the Beartic-line does in Pokemon Black and White. Before we really get into the run, I do kind of have to point out my starter choice right here. We chose to go with Snivy this time around. This is going to give Bianca the Oshawott line and Cheren the Tepig line. So this is actually going to be one of those rare circumstances where I actually have a disadvantage against both starters. Because water resists ice, but I'm also weak to Cheren's fire type. So I still think that this is in the spirit of the game, and we're just barely able to beat these first rival battles. They do have AI that kind of throws for you, but it's not necessarily guaranteed, but thanks to a couple crits, we're actually able to win, so that's pretty nice. So, yeah, overall, though, I think it was still the right decision, but it is going to cause us some problems potentially later on, since we're, you know, disadvantaged against both of the rival starters. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into what we're working with today, starting off with Cubchoo. So this little guy is absolutely adorable. I mean, look at him. He is awesome. Big old snot bubble icicle thingy coming out of his nose. It's just awesome. I love him. So looking at the stats though, 70 attack is actually pretty respectable, with 60 special attack as well, which we are going to need. Not great defense with 40 in both and 55 HP, but with Eviolite it might not be too bad, and with 40 base speed it's not winning any races anytime soon. However, looking at the moveset, we're just going to skip straight to that. We are starting with Powder Snow and Growl, not even picking up a physical move until level 17. Yeah, this is going to be kind of rough early on because, of course, we have to get through a couple fire types with only ice moves and maybe bide if we don't want to train all the way to 17, and that medium fast growth rate is not going to be helping out with that. After that, though, we actually pick up a very interesting option in Brine at level 21. This is a special attack, but it is water, so that gives us some really nice coverage going forward at that point, so that's pretty cool. After that, it's pretty much what you'd expect. A couple normal type moves, some ice type moves, you know, sheer cold at the very end there. That's pretty cool. So overall, not too bad. Of course, we are a pure ice type, and we are running the Snow Cloak ability because it is our only option. This Pokemon did not get Slush Rush until much later on, and we don't use hidden abilities at this point in the series in Black and White 1, so not that it would really help that much. So overall, though, so yeah, Snow Cloak, it's not going to come into play too much, but at least it's going to have some minor use throughout the run. So after a little while, we are going to get to level 37 though and evolve up into Beartic. So this Pokemon has a lot going for it. First off, 110 attack. In later generations, it did get a buff to its attack to 130, but we're only working with 110 in Generation 5 here. 95 HP with 80 in both defenses gives it pretty decent bulk. Not really that big on the special attack, but with a pretty good attack stat like that, it's not really going to matter. But also 50 base speed, so yeah, we're not going to be outspeeding too much in the late game, which is very unfortunate. So at level 37, when we evolve, we also pick up Icicle Crash, which is going to be our best ice move, although it does have, you know, imperfect accuracy at 90, but still really strong. On the TM side of things, we do get some pretty decent coverage in like Brick Break, Dig, Bulldoze, Rock Slide, Rock Smash, you know, Shadow Claw, Fling, just a whole bunch of great stuff. Just overall, just giving us some strong physical coverage, which we will really need because you notice we don't have a setup move, and that it means that we're going off of raw damage this time around. So overall, though, I don't really know how this is going to go when I started this. So yeah, Beartic has a lot of stuff going for it, but also a lot of stuff going against it. Of course, the ice type is infamously not great defensively, and there is a lot of things in especially the late game that are going to be hitting it very, very hard. So there is that. So as we make our way through the early game right here, and I go face off with Bianca, I actually black out to her Oshawott, and that is just the first example of, you know, just not having a great matchup against both of these rivals. This is the first time I've ever had to do this. You know, I'm trying to get through with maybe bide or something like that. Second time around, thankfully, I'm able to win, but yeah, it just did not pan out very well. So yeah, that's just not great. We are going to stop by the Dream Yard, do a little bit of extra training right here before we face off with Cheren. Thankfully, he is actually a first try win thanks to bide, which is kind of hilarious. And then we can head into the gym to face off with our first gym leader. Of course, we're facing off against Chili. He's arguably the hardest because we can't really rely on our berry with, you know, Incinerate and stuff like that. But that's not going to be our biggest problem because we have to get through the Lillipup. Thankfully, we do with a freeze, but we are obviously way too low for that to really matter. So Pansear actually knocks us out and we give us our second blackout of the run. But this actually isn't that bad because we got to level 13. We learned Icy Wind, so we have a nice power boost here, but also over a nice damage rounding threshold. So I'm going to go straight back into it. I'm going to actually trigger the potion on Lillipup, which is good. I actually want that. And then Pansear is going to come out Icy Wind into bide. He actually cooperates today, and we actually get a second try win against Chili. That is fantastic. definitely could have been there a lot longer. So yeah, that actually panned out perfectly. In my test runs, I was stuck there for quite a while just blackout training, but it worked out this time. So let's go ahead, head into the Dream Yard, beat up a couple plasma dudes, and then we're actually going to do something else new. We're going to do a little bit of Autono training in here after we return, because we are going to be facing off with Cheren very soon, and I need to hit level 17 because I don't think we're going to be able to cheese him with Bide like we have so far with some of these other fire types. So yeah, at 17 though, which I do gain in the preschool, we are going to learn Fury Swipes, and with that, Cheren actually isn't that bad. You know, Fury Swipes is terrible, but we're still able to get a nice first try win. After that, we're going to pick up a couple HM friends and clear out some plasma dudes in the Wellspring Cave, as well as battle pretty much all the other trainers on Route 3 before heading into Nacrene City. As we enter into Pinwheel Forest, we're going to grab the TM for Rock Smash, so we finally actually have a half-decent physical move, so we can use our slightly higher physical attack, so that's pretty good. Of course, we're going to battle the nurse right here just to get that rest stop set up and just top off a little bit for some good experience. We're going to pick up a couple of trainers in here like Juliet, and I'm even going to try my luck against Kita. Thankfully we win, and then we can do a little bit of extra training because, yeah, let's be real, we're not going to be facing off with Lenora very well at the power level we have right now. I'm going to have to do some Autono training. Thankfully we get some fairly fast Autonos, and we get to level 21 pretty quickly, and we learn Brine, which is going to be a great upgrade for us. Icy Wind with Stab is still a little stronger, but Brine has a pretty interesting secondary effect. If your opponent is under half HP, it will do double damage, which is pretty dang cool. So with that, we're going to deposit the rest of our team into the PC and head into the gym. And thankfully isn't really that big of a problem, and neither are any of the gym trainers, so let's go ahead and face off with Lenora. Alright, let's do this Lenora. She starts off with the Herdier. It goes for Intimidate, so Rock Smash is not going to be a great option, but it actually knocks itself out with recoil damage from Takedown. But, of course, we're a little too low to take out the Watchhog. So, however, this is perfectly fine. Lenora Blackout training is by far the best, way to gain experience at this point in the game, as long as we can knock out this Herdier somewhat consistently. So I'm going to go for a Icy Wind into a Brine because she put herself under half health, and I get to level 23. Hypnosis comes out, and I actually get a second try victory against Lenora. That is kind of crazy, not going to lie, and honestly, I was kind of hoping that we would be here a little bit longer because this is actually really good experience. So we're gonna have to see how losing out on that much experience actually is going to matter later on. Despite us, getting a really lucky second try win, it might not actually pan out as well as if we took a couple extra blackouts. Anyway, let's head into Pinwheel Forest, clear out everybody in there. Nothing really too crazy. Knock out the extra trainers on the bridge so they're out of the way when we come back here for a rare candy, cross that gorgeous Skyward Bridge, and head into Castelia City. As we enter into the big city, I'm going to stop by the Pokemon Center and then go right back out just in case to set up my blackout point. There is a couple points at here that can give me a little bit of trouble. We get a massage from the girl and then grab the Eviolite in the North Street. Of course, this is going to be our go-to held item for quite a while until we evolve, giving us a 50% boost to our defense and special defense. And yeah, Cubchoo really needs that. So after that, we're going to stop by the Battle Company, do a good bit of training right here. The Basculin guy, who gives by far the best experience in this point in the game other than Berg himself, I am actually able to get a first try win against, even though we do cut it really close. So that's some great experience in speed EVs right there. We clear out the plasma dudes on the side street, head into the gym. Thankfully no problems there whatsoever, and we can go ahead and face off with Berg. So facing off with Burr, we actually get to see that the Lenora getting that early fight is actually not great, because I'm just barely not putting the Whirlipede into 2-shot range with this Icy Wind. If I was level 28, I would be doing significantly more damage thanks to damage rounding. I also missed the KO onto the Dwebble, which is just really unfortunate. So yeah, my initial notes and everything said to be level 28 here, but that's just not really feasible with losing out on so much experience from, you know, the Lenora blackout grinding. So this is just a very interesting example of how, you know, potential good luck actually doesn't really pan out too well. So yeah, I'm also getting poisoned and defense dropped and stuff like that against Berg right here, but we kind of put it all together and say, hey, instead of let's going for Icy Wind and trying to get the 2 KO that way, let's go for Brine. We're not putting him into healing range with 2 of them, and then we can actually get the knockout onto the double with some better damage ranges. And with that, we're significantly better health for the Levani, so we can 2-shot that, get to that level 28 like I wanted to, and gain our 3rd badge. So very interesting way that panned out, and you know, just kind of goes to show you sometimes, you know, a couple extra blackouts may actually hurt something later on, or help something later on rather. So yeah, pretty cool. So thankfully though, we can head out towards Route 4, where Bianca actually gives me a little bit of trouble. Thankfully we get a very grindy first try win though, and we can head out towards Route 4 to battle the fishermen. Again, these fishermen we cut it a little bit close, but that's some great experience in speed EV, so I will take the risk all day, and we can head towards Cheren. He's actually a pretty easy win. Honestly, I think we're gonna have an easier time against Cheren this run than we are with Bianca, which is just pretty funny. And we can head towards Nimbasa but we're going to grab that dig TM along the way just so we're ready for Elisa. So let's go ahead, head into Nimbasa City. After chasing off the plasma guys, we get a bike from some old guy and have a quick chat with Bianca before we're set free into the city. Of course, first things first, we are going to grab that TM for return. This is going to be a significant power boost for us at this point. We're not quite at max happiness, but being able to actually use a decent physical attack at this point is going to be a huge upgrade, and of course, significantly better than Fury Swipes. So there's that. We also go ahead and throw on Dig before we heal up, so that PP is nice and topped off. And then we're actually going to stop by Route 16 to do a little bit of training because we are, you know, a medium fast growth rate Pokemon. I want to hit a specific level to make Elisa a little easier, and that's going to definitely help out with that. And as we do our lovely little Ferris wheel ride date with him is actually pretty easy, which is pretty nice, and we can head into the gym. Thankfully, we don't have to touch any of the Emolga, so no static nonsense this time around thanks to Icy Wind, and we can face off with Elisa. And we did hit that level 33 like I wanted for Elisa, so we can go for an Icy Wind as she Volt Switches out, and now we're faster than the Zebstrika, so one dig is just gonna knock it out. That's fantastic. We only have a couple Icy Winds left, but that is enough to knock out one Emolga, and the second one goes down as well. So very solid first try victory for Cubchoo right there. That experience that I just put in there with the Route 16 training definitely coming in clutch, and that's fantastic. So let's head out towards Route 5. Cheren, now that we got Dig, is not a problem whatsoever, and you know, Return is helping out along the way there too, so we can beat up a couple toddlers and head into Driftvale City. Pretty standard Driftvale. We're going to grab the PP up, the ether, and the protein in the grass. And after we clear out the plasma guys, we can pick up the Never Melt Ice on our way out. So this is of course going to be a great item boosting the power of our ice type moves, and that's going to be kind of go-to for a little while. As we make our way into the gym, we are actually going to pick up one extra trainer, which means after the final one we can get to level 37 and evolve just in time to face off with Clay. And now that we got our full power and Icicle Crash, we can just go to town. Krokorok goes down. We have Expert Belt boosted Dig for the Excadrill. That's going to drop, and then right back to a strong neutral. Icicle Crash for 3 one-shots on Clay. Let's go. You'll love to see it. Let's head back to the Pokemon Center, pick up some Max Repels and Hyper Potions. Bianca on the way out of town, thankfully, is not as much of a problem as it was before now that we are fully evolved. So that is pretty great. And we can head into Charstone Cave. We're definitely picking up the pace here with Beartic. I am going to stop by the bottom floor, grab the Bright Powder in Chargestone here, and on our way out, and is no problem whatsoever. We definitely got the power to just plow right through him. So in Mistralton, we are going to start climbing the tower, and I'm going to pick up the Shadow Claw TM on the way before we meet up with Skyla at the top. And at the top of the tower, we can ring that bell to send Skyla back to the gym, and lets me say, hey, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this video. I don't really have anything, interesting to, update you guys on the channel. So I'm, getting a little bit ahead on actually playing the playthroughs right now, so that's pretty great. We have something pretty big coming up at the very beginning of the year, so hope you guys are looking forward to that. Some of you guys that maybe you stop by the streams and stuff like that probably know what I'm talking about. Thank you, phone, for interrupting me, but that's okay. Yeah, and that's just going to be pretty fun. So anyway, let's make our way through the gym. Of course, we're a strong ice type. We miss a couple icicle crashes along the way, but no big deal. And let's go ahead and face off with Skyla. Alright, Skyla, yeah, we're a strong ice type. We got Icicle Crash, Swoobat, that's dead. Unpheasant, that's dead. Sure, Swan is neutral to it, but that's not enough to save it. And there we go, easy peasy. Let's go ahead, get shot out of the cannon, and meet up with Cheren at the foot of Twist Mountain. No problems there whatsoever. He's not even fully evolved at this point. We can see Alder's wonderful bionic legs and head inside. Nothing really interesting on my way through Twist Mountain, although I do have to mention, because we haven't seen it in a while, I am going to be playing on Winter, as you have noticed so far. That means that Twist Mountain has changed a lot. There is a very fast way to get to Twist Mountain in the winter, but I don't actually want to use that because I still want my winter runs to be comparable to my normal run. So I've kind of like made up this, other way through Twist Mountain that is somewhat comparable to my trips through with other things. So although we don't actually have access to any items that are available in winter either, like the extra rare candies or the substitute TM, because I just want all of these runs to be very homogeneous with my my rule set. And then we're going to go ahead and pop out on the other side at Icarus City, where we're going to stop by the Pokemon Center, grab the TM for Brick Break, and we can head into the gym, power away all the way through, no problems there, and we can face off with Bryson. Say it with me, folks, Bryson is an absolute joke. He's going to lose even the mirror match. So Brick Break onto the Vanillish, that just drops. Beartic, we do have the Person Berry just in case he tries to swagger me, but no problems there. Just waste our time a little bit with some heals. And then Cryogonal is just going to get absolutely nuked from orbit with a Brick Break and its terrible physical defense. So 7 gym badges down. Let's head towards Dragon Spiral Tower.
And as we make our way up Dragon Spiral Tower, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really got a story today. I couldn't really think of anything good to talk about. So, yeah, just we're going to power our way through, see N's fancy dragon up at the top, and then head towards the desert. Of course, nothing really interesting in the desert. We are going to pick up that fossil for potential fling strats later, grab a whole bunch of rare candies, get a funny looking rock in Green City, and then we can head out towards Route 8 to face off with Bianca one last time. So Bianca with Intimidate is definitely going to be really annoying. However, the hail is up on this route, so for the first and pretty much only time in this run, we have Snow Cloak activated. So we're going to have to see if that actually comes into play at all. A couple breaks are going to knock out the Stoutland. A single dig is going to just easily drop that Simisear. And then we go for a couple returns on Samurott. Unfortunately, return is not quite a 2-hit KO. And then we get crit by a Revenge, put into very low health. So a Aqua Jet is able to pick us off. So come on, Snow Cloak, I need a little bit of help here. Let's do this. So second try, Stoutland's gonna come out, Intimidate. I'm honestly actually okay with her using her Hyper Potions on the Stoutland here. It means that they're not getting used on something a little bit more problematic like that Samurott, or maybe even the Musharna in the back, because, you know, if we're not one-shotting the Samurott or coming even close to one-shotting the Samurott here, then yeah, that's not going to be looking great for the Musharna either. But we're able to get through, and that's pretty nice, and we even get some better damage ranges onto that Musharna, so we don't even have to risk a second attack. So that's really nice. So yeah, only one reset to Bianca. Like I said, I think that Bianca was going to be much more of a problem this run, but only one reset. I will definitely take it for that hardest fight. So anyway, Getus and his ninjas lecture at us a little bit, and then we can head into Opelucid City. Of course, nothing in the gym is going to cause us any problems. Just miss a couple icicle crashes along the way, and we can face off with our final gym leader. Alright, Drayden, Dragon type gym, and we have strong ice moves. One icicle crash goes down, that goes down to another one, and last but not least is the Haxorus, and we hit all 3 of our icicle crashes for an incredibly easy 8th gym badge. So yeah, no problems there. Did you really expect it? So let's head out towards Route 10, do a whole bunch of training, and then it's going to be time to face off with Cheren one last time. So for Cheren, we got super effective damage on all of his Pokemon. This shouldn't be too big of a deal. Icicle Crash onto the Unpheasant. That goes down. A super effective dig with that Expert Belt boost is going to be enough to get the one-shot on the Emboar. And even though we do miss a Icicle Crash, no big deal. That goes down, and last but not least is that Liepard, which just drops to a Brick Break. No problems there whatsoever. We get a nice free heal, and we're sent into Victory Road. I am going to do a ton of training here in Victory Road. We do have to be a little careful around some of the trainers, because, you know, they do have some pretty strong Pokemon at this point in the game, but we will eventually pop out on the other side at level 59. Right before we go into the Elite Four, we are going to spend all of our rare candies to get up to level 67, and then it's going to be time to face off with the Elite Four. First up is going to be Caitlyn. We have Expert Belt, Shadow Claw, Reuniclus, that's going to drop. Gothitelle comes in, frisks us a little bit, that's okay. She does end up living, but just sets up a Calm Mind, so it doesn't really do anything, and we get a better roll in the following turn. Musharna also drops with a single hit, and last but not least is the Sigilif. We don't even have to risk a Icicle Crash miss, and there we go, we can move on to the next member. Next up is Grimsley, and we got another super effective coverage move there with Brick Break this time. So with that Expert Belt boost, even though we do get intimidated, it is going to be more than enough for us to just power right through his team. So Bisharp 4 times weak, and Liepard is incredibly frail. So there we go, we get to level 68, moving on. So for Chantal, we have adjusted the moveset a little bit. We are going to be going for Shadow Claw onto the Cofagrigus. Unfortunately, we just barely miss out on the one-shot, and we get burned by Will-O-Wisp, which we can't really afford to do. So we pretty much either need to get that one-shot with Shadow Claw or dodge a Will-O-Wisp. Second try, we do actually not even take a Will-O-Wisp, just a very weak Shadow Ball, and I will definitely take that. So Cofagrigus not quite going down, but that's okay. And we got Fling for Chandelure, so we got a strong move, and we don't even have to worry about Flame Body. Golurk goes down to a single Shadow Claw. Jellicent follows the same, and there we go. Easy peasy. Moving on to the last member. So for Marshall, I was supposed to actually use Sheer Cold here, but I clicked my buttons a little too fast, but never punished. I get a critical hit Icicle Crash, and then into a dodge Stone Edge onto the sock. Yeah, Beartic has said, okay, it's no problem, you misclicked, easy peasy. We even get a dodge and a flinch on freaking Conkeldurr, and Mian Xiao is too frail to live, so that goes down as well. Yeah, first try Marshall. Good job, Beartic. Let's go. Let's go ahead and head downstairs and see how Alder is managing with N. N summons his gigantic castle out of the ground somehow, and it's going to be up to us to chase him down through it because Alder just couldn't manage. Come on, man. You got to lock in. I know it's cold outside. It's winter and all that fun stuff, but we got to warm up, you know, do a little bit of jumping jacks or something before you do your next battle or something. I don't know. But anyway, as we make our way through the castle, we are going to pick up one last rare candy and spend it so we can get to level 70 just in time to face off with the man himself in the throne room. By having a full party, we could deny adding Reshiram to it so we can lead Beartic v Zekrom. So with our plus speed nature, we just barely have enough speed to outpace things like the Zoroark, the Dragon, and his Archeops in the back. The Caracasa, we do get a flinch, so no worry about Stone Edge right there. Let's go. And then Archeops goes down to a Icicle Crash. Brick Break onto the Vanillix. That goes down, and last is going to be Kling Clang. It does just barely hang on from the Brick Break, but doesn't really do anything to us, so we actually clean sweep that fight. Very nice. So Costa, I think we would have lived the Stone Edge if it hit, but just, you know, hitting that flinch was just very well worth it. So there we go. Gets us, gonna throw his little tantrum, and it's gonna be up to us to take him down. Alright, here we go. Cofagrigus lead. We do not want to get toxic, so a Fling Hover Fossil is just going to easily knock that thing right out. Hydreigon, even with our plus speed nature, we cannot hope to outspeed this thing, so we have to chew that Focus Blast. Thankfully, Bisharp goes down to a Brick Break. Electros, we get a flinch as it just barely lives the Icicle Crash, so that's actually really big. Bouffalant comes out. I'm going to actually go for a Sheer Cold and land it first try. Let's go. Seismitoad is just going to set up a Rain Dance, and there is that. So the Sheer Cold was actually perfectly fine. Icicle Crash was never one-shotting it, and I think we had just enough health to live a head charge. So if he went for head charge, the recoil damage would have actually put him in range of killing with Icicle Crash. So there really wasn't any downside to going for the Sheer Cold there. But the upside was so cool because we hit a freaking Sheer Cold, and we ended up getting a first try win there with 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 3 seconds, 3 blackouts, 5 resets. This Pokemon is awesome. So yeah, sure, it struggles a lot at certain points in the game, especially early on, but honestly, not that bad. And especially if we can use Sheer Cold and just be super cool about it. So yeah, always fun to use an OHKO move. I think this is the first time that I've ever actually used an OHKO move because like the Pokemon that we didn't need to, we had them before, didn't really need them. So anyway, let's wrap up the credits and see how this Pokemon ranks on the tier list. And there we go, a final in-game time of 5 hours and 18 minutes. So let's go ahead and bring in the tier list. We see it's sitting there in the D tier, but the very high D tier, and I think that is respectable for a Pokemon like this. Ice type, of course, is not doing it any favors, but it has just enough tools, and it was very unique to, run an Ice type, and it's getting like something like Brine really early on as the Cubchoo was actually a massive freaking turning point for it. So yeah, that was a fantastic tool for it to have, and yeah, it would definitely made this run a lot more doable. So sure, the end game was pretty lucky, we can't deny that, hitting the sheer cold, even though I think as long as I hit my Icicle Crash following up would have been okay, but still, that's just fantastic. This Pokemon definitely got some aura to him, and I really like that. So sheer cold swag for the win. So yeah, overall though, this was actually a really fun run. Sure, it didn't perform the best, but I actually enjoyed putting together some of these puzzle pieces for this one, and sometimes, it's great to just, plow through and just dominate a game and stuff like that, but, the ones that I actually find more interesting are the ones that are kind of like a puzzle, and this definitely was. So anyway, that is going to be it for Beartic today. Be sure to come back next week because we are going to be continuing on with the ice types. We only have one left for the native Unova region, and it's going to be a doozy because we're going to be playing with Cryogonal. Yeah, that one's going to be very interesting. That Pokemon has 30 base defense in this generation. Wow. So thank God that thing got buffed later. So anyway, that is going to be it for me today though, guys. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you guys enjoyed Beartic, and you come back to see Cryogonal next week. So with that said, like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. I love you all. Deuces.